everything. The Republicans on the stage are on the right side of this issue.
You guys hear that okay?
Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country. Now, the left will howl about the Constitution and the 14th Amendment. The difference between me and them is I've actually read the 14th Amendment. What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here. And as the father of two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow.
I want to point out that this was a big thing that Trump ran on, back in the day.
And never accomplished.
And never accomplished because, I don't know that there's any, this is why we need Fox. If there is any real legal theory out there about how we go, about that, like does the 14th Amendment have to be rewritten? Would we require a constitutional amendment? What are we talking about here? What is the mechanism that ends birthright citizenship?
Right.
To illegal immigration. It's been
And I don't think even Trump really articulated that. He said he was just going to, do one of those little executive order things that just kind of happen and boom, it's gone. But we know that that wouldn't have flown at all.
Yeah.
So surviving a Supreme Court argument is something I can't tell you. But from a perspective of the Constitution, I think it's simple that clearly it was designed for slavery and not for illegal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation about the things that are happening on this stage, we think about
I
the fact
want
that
to
Vivek
like
just said we
him
were all
so much.
good people, and I appreciate that because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for, and I thought about that for a little while and said, I can't imagine how you could say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
Is this the CEFC stuff?
I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody.
This is the first time I've seen Tim Scott punch at somebody.
Thank you for speaking.
Yeah.
Apparently we missed DeSantis taking a direct shot at Trump.
Thanks, Lori, for stopping by. You're welcome to leave. You're a shit commenter.
We know this in China. Everybody knows that.
If I may
focus on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be.
I actually agree with.
I don't think she was talking about a.
No one can understand
exactly. So if I may.
Yeah, Heather, I think she was talking about the debate stage. No one's stopping.
Oh, okay.
Do you need a Snickers or something?
Probably.
How about let me and Joey take care of the comments, kiddo? I'm just kidding.
No, because at some point tonight, I'm going to tell Mike Pence to shut the fuck up. I'm just wondering when it's going to be. So it's not just going to be Heather at this point.
I made a commitment that we would never do business.
They got an airplane in there. That's pretty impressive.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Well,
sorry, Lori.
By a lot of people here, and I want to be respectful because I believe
you were respectful last debate.
But I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan Library.
Yes, I wish you
in the honor of Ronald Reagan's library, if I may. From one admirer of Ronald Reagan to another. From one admirer of Reagan to another. We cannot sit here and violate Reagan's 11th commandment.
I want to hear about that.
Let's have a policy debate.
What's going on?
Let us have a policy.
Is that better on the sound?
Oh my God, these guys.
And the right answer is we need to declare independence from China, and I will see that through.
Is it just me, or does it look like the stage is buckling under Chris Christie?
The Trump administration canceled DACA.
Sorry, Eric, I didn't see you down there.
Of 600,000 dreamers.
I was only there a minute.
Of the courts.
Now, I don't
taxes.
remember as a kid or a younger person all this bickering. Like they used to respect each other's time at the debates. Did they not?
Well, first, let me say I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal
insane.
in 2018.
What was
in China.
that deal? What was he saying?
About the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. So we're nice to have you participating in elections. So let me speak to this issue.
They're all coming after him.
They are coming after
I negotiated the
Vivek.
Remain in Mexico policy with the Mexican government.
They know he's a
We
threat.
used economic power to bring the Mexican government to the table. We built hundreds of miles of border wall.
Hard power.
And
I like
despite what's
DeSantis.
said here
He says we're
today,
going to have hard
we
power.
reduced illegal
I don't know what
immigration and
that is.
asylum abuse by
Sounds
90%. And as president of the United States, I can do it again.
I think you can get it in pill
The
form,
truth
Eric,
is,
if you're having trouble
we
with
need
your
to
hard power.
fix a broken immigration system, and I'll do that as well. But first and foremost, a nation without borders is not a nation. And we have to secure the southern border of the United States of America. I know how to do it, and we will do it again. Let me say one other thing about China. Let me say one other thing about China.
Would you negotiate with Congress to give a solution to the problem that Dreamers have right now? They are on a limbo.
Well, let me tell you, I served in Congress for 12 years,
They
although
are
it
what?
seemed longer. But you know, something I've done different than everybody on this stage
Get it?
is I've actually secured reform in Congress.
I agree,
Ron,
Sulu.
you
They
talk a really
should
good game about cutting
have
spending, but you've
microphone
increased
monitor
spending in
powers.
Florida by 30%. When I was a member of Congress,
Just for
in
everyone tuning in, I have
2006,
them
right after
turned up as
Hurricane
high as I
Katrina,
possibly
Danny, you
can.
remember,
I can't turn them
we
up any
stood
higher.
our ground. I led House conservatives. We cut $100 billion out of the federal budget. It can be
I will
done,
say
but
this is
as I
one
said in the
element
last
that
debate, I'll
Pence
say
can
again,
run
this
well
is not a
on
time
because
for
they did well
on-the-job
on it during
training.
their
I'm gonna be
presidency.
ready on day one to
But
get
again,
Congress
he has to
step
tread that
up,
line
secure the
between,
southern border
do
of
I
the
take
United States,
responsibility
build
for
a
things that took
military
place in the
fitted
Trump
to
administration,
our
or do
times,
I
and we're going to get
push away
spending
from
in
it?
Washington, D.C. under control. once
So,
and
and
for
that's
all.
what he has to straddle, right? Because I mean, how much did was it Pence, and then how much was it Trump's policies that now Pence is trying to take credit for? And Trump's voters are going to see right through that.
Yeah.
And that's who you're basically appealing to at this point. I mean, we have a lot of low propensity primary voters.
Do you
don't
trust
get me
our
wrong,
government
but
and
in
where the
presidential
economy is
years,
heading?
that's not going
Does
to be
the
the
thought
case.
of losing your
So he
hard-earned
needs to
retirement
decide, look,
savings
he
to
wants to distance
DC's
himself from
reckless
Donald Trump.
spending scare
Great,
the heck out of
distance
you?
yourself from Donald Trump.
Well, you're not
Do
alone.
that.
Smart
But then at
Americans
the
are
same time,
taking
don't
action
take
while they
credit for
still
the things
can
the Trump
by reaching
administration
out
did
to
well. Like,
Sorry.
you can't have it both ways. And Pence really wants to have it both ways right now. It's the
Yeah.
same thing from the last debate where he was moralizing about, I want everybody to say I did the right thing on January 6th. Shut up, dude. Like, this is why
Yeah, it's
everybody
not
hates
a la
you.
carte. You were there for all the stuff.
Yeah, I think that okay, so I don't like Pence, you guys know that. But I do think that the line that he's walking is pretty good from a campaign perspective. The problem is nobody likes Mike Pence. He has zero likability factor. Every place that he
Yeah.
goes to speak, unless he's inside like an evangelical church group that hated Trump in the first place, he's getting booed and heckled pretty much off the stage at this point.
Yeah, he's a joke, sort of. I mean, he just doesn't come off as presidential or a leader in any way.
Yeah. What's up, Exit?
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
What up, brother?
Did you see Jake's comment? Mike Pence's wife doesn't like Mike Pence. That's probably true.
Let's go to a couple of these comments real quick.
Jake is
Steve
awesome.
says Trump 2024. I love your profile picture, Steve. It's amazing. I wish all people walked through life with that kind of energy. Lori said, "Oh my God, Pence is boring." Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Extremely.
Sulu said the moderator should shut their microphone down so we can hear what you guys are talking about. That's why Trump's kicking all your butts. Jim said Pence turned into a plagiarist just like Biden. Jake said Mike Pence's wife doesn't even like Mike Pence. I love that. Lori said, thanks for nothing, people.
Don't know what to say except you're welcome.
I know, it's like, what's that, the Moana song where he's like, you're welcome.
I mean, I think she's saying that, like, thanks for nothing. Like, we haven't got nobody to fucking vote for here. But I want to like Tim Scott.
I do. I love him. He just doesn't have any panache.
Okay, but let's refocus for a minute, Heather. So last debate, we were Vivek. Like, okay, we like Vivek right now. Like,
I still do.
Where are we at today? Okay. A month later,
I am
we're still
in the primary. If it were held today, I would still be voting for Vivek Ramaswamy.
I think that I'm voting for Trump if he makes the ballot.
In the primary.
I worry that he would spend the majority of his presidency just going after everybody who went after him, which
that's exactly what I want to do. Just fucking tie yourselves up. Do it. Because he'll cut a bunch of government.
Yeah, I guess that's not the worst thing, right? Because then the government is busy fucking itself.
But he's also going to slash some government. He's going to I just want to see the shit show. We have memes in the internet when the Roman Empire falls this time, and it's going to be fun.
30 seconds for a follow-up. And the more you mention each other, that means the fewer questions you're going to get. Okay, so we want to talk about crime. This has been
wow, her makeup looks great tonight.
News and others have been covering it.
I love Dana Perino. She's so pretty.
Cities is striking fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia. You said in the last debate that you would use.
Jennifer is not a Trump fan. She said Trump is a criminal.
They're all criminals, Jennifer.
Got a little bit of varying opinions. I will.
You've gotten this far, you're a criminal.
Yeah, if you made it to the presidential race, you are a criminal.
Prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So, what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, I'm the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country.
Somebody can bring up the bridge this week.
Office in New Jersey,
over under.
And we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken.
It's such an easy line of attack. I'm surprised no one's done it yet.
Crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control. The fact is, they will be stretched. There's no doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities, but we need the law and order back everywhere.
I need to pull up Rumble.
Back in our suburbs, people are threatened there. We need it in our rural areas. People feel threatened there, and we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not.
Rumble people, if you're talking, I'm sorry.
I Donald, I know you're watching.
Up yet.
You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight. Not because of polls,
he ain't watching. Listen to this motherfucker.
You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're
shut up, Chris.
I'm sorry. Right now, bitch, dude. He's a fucking bitch.
So right now, he's probably just trying to get a Trump, Trump to pop off at him so he can gain some relevance.
Yeah, he's just trying to. He's gaslighting. He's a bitch.
Oh, he's totally gaslighting.
He's trying to be the guy that we're talking about tomorrow because he called him Donald Trump.
All I can think about is fucking how much biscuits and gravy be shoved in your mouth today, bro. I can't even hear it.
Well, the crime
was Christie at the Iowa State Fair? Do we know? I guess they still had food available, so I guess he may not have been.
If people aren't even safe to live in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco, just being in Southern California over the last couple of days, my wife and I have met 3 people who have been mugged on the street, and that would have never happened 10 or 20 years ago. In Florida, we back the blue. We support the men and women of law enforcement. They are keeping us safe. We have a 50-year low.
Okay, that was kind of a dumb statement because 20 years ago in California, you still could have gotten mugged pretty much anywhere. I mean, LA's bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as, the gang wars in the late 80s and 90s. So I'm throw that one out there.
To bring civil rights,
and I normally love DeSantis, so there's my criticism.
Soros-funded prosecutors, we're not going to let them get away with it anymore.
Do I like this?
Reverse this country's decline. We need to choose.
That was a really good comment. Talking about bringing civil rights cases against the DAs.
He knows what he's doing too. He'll do that shit.
Retirements are up. Recruitment is in the tank. Morale is at a record low. 3 years ago, you signed a pledge to support law enforcement. Now, pledges are a nice idea, but what's your actual plan to get more police on our streets?
Well, and I actually did it in South Carolina too. You know what we
Hey,
do in
Jennifer,
South Carolina.
how do you avoid
to take care of you?
Jennifer on the
We have
comment,
to
shut
start
up
taking
about
care of
law enforcement. You
but it's not just
Republicans
taking
spit
care of
on
them with words.
after
It's
January
making sure
6th.
that you
Shut the
also
F
follow through on what they
This
do.
is a
Right
troll.
now, we
She
have
can't be a
lot
real
of
human.
stolen guns on the street. Well, these law enforcement officers, they arrest these people and then they go and they're let out the very next day. So law enforcement feels like no one has their back. We have to start prosecuting according to the law. We have to make sure we have the backs of law enforcement, and we have to make sure that we're a country of law and order. But I want to go back to China because I don't think we spent enough time on that.
Hey,
Right
Heather,
now, we have to look
if
at
you
what
want to
government's
fucking
doing
trip
to
out on
hurt
the
us against
communists, there's
China,
one
too.
there.
You
That's
have
the
a
one you would
company,
trip out
US
on.
Antibiotics,
Jennifer,
that produces
we got a
amoxicillin,
communist in
the
here.
number one antibiotic that we need. And right now, there is a company in Bristol, Tennessee, that produces that. Yet our federal government only gets it from China. We need to be focusing on companies that produce in America and supporting.
Hey, you can keep going back to that well and milking that fucking cow, Jennifer, but it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
Every single Republican spit on the Capitol Police, guys. We all got in line in January, like all of it. Every single registered Republican, all of them.
All of us.
All of them.
Governor Burton, for the first time ever,
I
a
love when liberals
Univision
use
poll
I
the word
didn't
found
get
all.
that.
all
Well, I
shootings
don't know.
and gun safety
Did it probably
They
go to
don't
my
actually-
spam
most
folder?
important issue for Latino voters. Mental health concerns are not unique to the United States, but gun violence is. What
I want to
is
listen
your
to this.
specific plan to curb gun violence?
Well, first we need to know is understand is I think that the liberal left seems to be just completely bent on prosecuting law-abiding citizens that are gun owners, because every solution they have to this is take away the Second Amendment rights of Americans, and somehow that's going to solve the problem. But all these cities that we're talking about that you showed the videos of tonight, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So we know that that's not what's working. But what we have to do is get back to the core issues about the family. We have to get back to behavioral health and mental health. We've got to get back to actually enforcing the laws these people talked about. And like we've done in North Dakota, where we've got the goal and we're on the track to being the most military-friendly state in the nation. We've got the most military and the most support of what we're doing in terms of law enforcement, because the morale is down because we've been defunding the police, because they've been attacked in the press. The police have become the bad guys when they're the one. There's all these jobs available in America. Why would you be a policeman if people don't even respect them? Every time I see a policeman, the first thing I say is thank you. And so does everybody else in my family and most of the people in our state, because they know we have to respect the people that are out there defending us every single day. And I answered a question on mass shooting.
Mr. Ramaswamy, according to Customs and Border Protection, about 90% of fentanyl is seized at official border crossings, and 57% of the smugglers are U.S. citizens.
Fox, why are you not
How will you
in
stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
There's two sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it. One is we do have to seal that southern border. Building the wall is not enough. They're building cartel-financed tunnels underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border. But we also have to be honest. There's a demand-side problem in this country, too, a mental health epidemic. I met family in Iowa, two parents, Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pump and pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media.
Going after the
This
Bible
isn't a
Belt.
Republican
Smart.
point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period. This is something that we can both
I agree
on, and we can
incredibly with this, and a lot of you
But
guys.
it's not going to work. But
that will kill more people
I mean,
this year than who died
the
on
best
9/11,
form of
and I
governance is
refuse
the
to be a
family,
passive
right?
bystander,
I believe that at the
sitting in
family
White
level,
House like the
my
hollowed
family.
out husk of
But
the
I don't want to
president
press that
we
on
have.
somebody else.
We will step up and address this problem to stand for Americans and our children.
President, quit encouraging TikTok. Quit encouraging TikTok.
That is why everything he said I agree with. That is why, as commander-in-chief, I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after the Mexican drug cartels. They are killing
Oh,
our
I thought he was
people.
going to say
The
go after the
stories that
girls
I've
on
seen in
TikTok.
Florida, we had an infant, 18 months.
They
If he wants to go after,
It could have been like,
And
that was a
apparently the
misstep,
people that
sir.
rented it
if you're
before were using
14
drugs.
and
The
you're on
infant was
TikTok,
crawling, the
soldier's
toddler
going to
was
kick your
crawling on
door
the
in.
carpet and ingested fentanyl
I mean, if
residue
we're
and
wanting to
died.
go after
Are
TikTok,
we just going to
please,
sit
by
here
all
and let
means.
this happen, this carnage
Another
happen in
thought
our
on it
country? I am
inbound.
not going to do that. So I guarantee you on day one, this border is going to be a day one issue for me as president. We're going to declare it a national emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do remain in Mexico. But those Mexican drug cartels are going to be treated like the foreign terrorist organizations that they are.
President Pence. All right, Vice President Pence. We're going to move on to a different issue.
Jeez.
Vice President Pence.
Ooh,
Okay, he is such a tryhard.
there's too much estrogen on that moderator stage.
All Obamacare mandates. However, you also made that same promise
They
in
need
2016.
to like have pickle there.
And at that time, Trump-Pence had congressional majorities for at least the first 2 years, and you did not deliver on that promise. So Obamacare right now
Has he
is
not
more
seen
popular
He always
Sicario,
looks like
right?
he's like
Why should
sad,
Americans
like
trust
he's
you
he's at
if
a
you become
funeral,
president
like
to fix that, or is Obamacare here to stay?
He looks like a Lego person.
Well, first, let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll answer that question. It's an important one, Dana. Look, I'm someone that believes that justice delayed is justice denied. And as a father of three, as a grandfather of three beautiful little girls, I am sick and tired
oh, is he
of
gonna
these
cry?
mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States, I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States, and we're going to pass a federal expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years. It is unconscionable that the Parkland shooter, Ron, is actually going to spend the rest of his life behind bars in Florida. That's not justice. We have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers that you are not going to live out your days behind bars. You're going to meet justice in this system.
But does that mean Obamacare is here to stay?
Well, thank you for reiterating the question, because I'd love to answer it. Look, I think it's one of the choices here. You know, my former running mate, Donald Trump, actually has a plan to start to consolidate more power in Washington, D.C., consolidate more power in the executive branch. If I'm president of the United States, it's my intention to make the federal government smaller by returning to the states those resources and programs that are rightfully theirs under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That means all Obamacare funding, all housing funding, all
I know how
HHS
Washington
funding,
works.
all
That's
of it
the
goes
card
back
he's
to the
gonna play.
states.
It's
We'll
smart.
shut down the federal
Those are just
Department of
words. That's
Education.
not
We'll
actionable.
allow states to innovate. We're going to revive.
No,
One
that
thing
was-
that makes me
in
excited
America,
is
and
everybody's
states are
talking
gonna
about
help
shutting down
bring
bureaucracy in
America
the Department of Education
May
now.
I remind everyone to keep within
So
their time
that's starting to
frames
become
so we
like
get as many
across the
questions in
board.
as
That's what's got to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one thing to talk about it. I don't know that I have any faith in anybody on that stage to actually do it is the problem.
2.5 million of them are in your state. That's worse than the national average. Can Americans trust you on this?
Well, I think this is a symptom of our overall economic decline. Everything has gotten more expensive. You see insurance rates are going through the roof. People that are going to get groceries. I spoke with a woman in Iowa, and she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm having to take things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are hurting out there. So we've got to address the underlying problem with Bidenomics, the overspending, taking all Biden's rules and regulations. I'm going to throw them in the trash can on day one. You're not going to have to worry about that. We're going to open up all of our energy. We will be energy dominant in this country. That will lower your gas prices. And what we need to do with healthcare is recognize our healthcare is putting patients at the back of the bus. We have big pharma, big insurance, and big government, and we need to tackle that and have more power for the people and the doctor-patient relationship.
Governor, why is your record in Florida on insurance worse than the national average?
Our state's a dynamic state. We've got a lot of folks
Old
that come.
people.
Of course, we've had a population boom. We also don't have a lot of welfare benefits in Florida. You know, we're basically saying,
plus, you know,
this is a
shark
field of
attacks.
dreams. You can do well in the state, but we're not going to be like California and have massive numbers of people on government programs without work requirements. We believe you work and you got to do that. And so that goes for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth against any big state. And even CNBC, no fan of mine, ranked Florida the #1 economy in America.
On the topic of healthcare, Governor Haley, healthcare is the leading cause of bankruptcy.
Heather, what's your how is your receipt experiment? Are we speaking of food inflation there?
I have not gone to get the items in a while. I should do that this week.
From financial ruin.
See if you can get them
First
if you
of
get
all,
over there
how can
maybe
we
before
be the
happy hour.
best country in the world and have the most expensive
I'll do
health care
that.
in the world? We have an issue. My mom was in the hospital, and when she was in the hospital, they tried to bring her a couple of Tylenol, and she said, "I don't need it." And they said, "Honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway." Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company and the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals, to the doctor's offices, to the PBMs, to the pharmaceutical companies. We will make it all transparent, because when you do that, you will realize
It doesn't matter
that's
if it's
what the problem
transparent.
is.
They
Second
still
thing
bill
is
it.
You've got to deal with tort law. The doctors don't give you the 10 tests because they want to. It's because of the 90% chance they'll get sued.
Nobody becomes president unless the pharmaceutical
Get rid
companies
of
say it's
certificate of
okay.
need systems and make
No
sure that
shit.
they can compete. We have to
So
put the
anything
patient
they
in the
say
driver's
about
seat. They've been in
pharmaceuticals,
the
I'm
back
just
seat for
throwing in
way
the
too
garbage.
long. And once we give the
Or a
patient
top tight
the
end.
ability to decide their health care, deciding which plan they want, that is
Fox,
when we will
why
see
don't you
magic
come
happen.
in
But we're going to
here?
have to make every part of the industry open up and show us where their warts are, because they all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
And that's what we did.
Do you have a better way in 30 seconds?
Not for life insurance, Jake.
That's a
right?
valid point, Jake. Valid point.
There's so many reasons
It's
for
because
rates
the
to be
federal
high in
government
Florida.
got involved the same way they did with EVs, and they said, we're going to subsidize a particular kind of software back in 2008 under Obama. And they said, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to make everyone more productive. All of you that are watching have been to a doctor's office when the doctor's got his back to you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive, they saw less patients per day, is U.S. healthcare, because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers. Every time the federal government's involved, whether it's higher education, healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive. And
That's
less
riddled with favors.
He's been really
Trump
good tonight.
work.
On the future of education
Yeah.
in America. What's the government's role in finding a way
See,
forward?
I like that
The
Burgum
secret
guy. He
Republican
just doesn't
debate
have
goes on from
it,
Simi Valley.
you know?
Well, he's funding his entire campaign by himself.
And are we doing a good enough job teaching our children what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world?
Dude, Mike Pence wants to talk like that so bad.
Do you trust our government and where?
Nope. Okay.
Like who? Exit wants to talk like who?
I'm going to go through some of these now that we have a chance to. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to pause it. I meant to mute
The
it.
economy is heading.
Okay. So Dana Perino is beautiful in real life. She came to Dallas. Jennifer says, yes, they are, but he's a raging lunatic. Chris, that's a response to you when you said they're all crazy or whatever. Vanessa says DeSantis is a dud. He's been better tonight than he was last week so far, or last debate. Trump has zero awareness of anything. He's a bumbling idiot.
DeSantis just doesn't come off as authentic to me. He has that weird smile after he says things.
Yeah. I think that's just his awkwardness. But, you know,
Yeah.
Trump is the only one who can save
relate.
America and the world from Biden and the global cabal. Biden just wants World War III and New World Order. Diana says Trump 2024. Jake said Chris Christie probably asked to eat the butter cow at the Iowa State Fair. Shut up about law enforcement, you Republicans spit on after January 6th. Shut the fuck up. Jennifer, I don't know if you know this or not, but this is our show. And we don't have
You
to.
come up here and make me- You can come up here and make me, you fucking cunt. And I mean that. Come up here, motherfucker. Do something, bitch. Fucking all that. Fucking cunt.
January 6th, all Republicans spit on the Capitol Police.
Every
Shut
single
up,
one.
idiot.
Yeah, all of the however many million Republicans got lined up in front of the Capitol, and the Capitol Police were there, and every one of them.
We all
of them
spit collectively. Jennifer said it's working. He's been indicted 91 times. Nikki says, shh. Jennifer said the ones in office pay attention. Fox is very upset about the Telemundo person on the
Fox, why are you not? Why you have the link? Get in here.
I know, Fox. Why don't you just come on? Jennifer said, "Guns. The U.S. is the only country with this problem. Idiots." Well,
I already know what you're gonna say.
The U.S. with this problem, idiots. So you say that as if you're coming from another country, which makes your opinion on my guns completely invalid. Good night, Eric and Chris. Tex says good night. He's out of here. Wes says really need to give the moderators the ability to turn off all mics. I will tell you it's effective when I host my Twitter spaces. It's a very nice button when things get a little out of control. Tex says good night. Jerry, I think he means Joey. Does Fox not have English speaking hosts? Fox is just pissed the whole time.
They could have got someone who's more skilled.
Well, I think that there's a partnership there for this debate with Telemundo.
Since Tucker, they've had to make some cuts. Okay.
The wall Mexico is going to pay for. Good night, Heather. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
About to go build a wall out of wherever the heck is Jennifer.
Jennifer, you've been in this room for like 20 minutes. I don't know how long we've been streaming at this point, but nobody in here is a MAGA person. We're trying to give each one of these candidates a fair shake. I even like Burgum tonight. So
Burgum's doing great tonight.
Yeah, he's done of everyone so far. You know how you talk about like the most improved, like the award that you get when you sucked really bad the first time and you got way better. He's done really well tonight.
So
it's gangster rap causing problems for the 90s. Now it's social media. Vivek is going to ban the internet.
So our resident Canadian has said about Doug Burgum, for the record, I am now on the Doug Burgum bandwagon. He's the only sensible human being out there. That's cool.
Lori says, shh, please, y'all. Jake said, if you're an insurance company, are you going to cover Florida Man? Like I said, not for life insurance. Health insurance, fuck yeah, because he's coming in all the damn time. I'm going to make a shit ton of money off Florida Man. Why did Fox put like 15 members of the B team on the moderator committee? Beverly wrote a book.
Beverly.
Yes, we are still super upset about the zip tie flag march on the Capitol. Sorry, got to go back. I'll come back to this in a minute.
There's chronic absenteeism, that's at record highs. And this has even been called education homicide. You say school choice is the answer, but South Carolina, your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice. And even the current expansion won't be fully implemented until 2027. Parents can't wait 4 years for a fix. So what would you do right now?
Well, and school choice isn't the only answer, but I'll tell you, it's not out of a lack of trying that we didn't try and get school choice in South Carolina. What I'll tell you, first of all, is we have to acknowledge the fact that 67% of our 8th graders are not proficient in reading or math. Over 80% of our 8th graders aren't proficient in history or civics. And recently they came out and said our 12 and 13-year-olds are scoring at the lowest levels they've been scoring in reading and math in decades. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we catch our kids back up. We have to make sure they can read. A child that can't read by 3rd grade is 4 times less likely to graduate.
But you guys, it was necessary to close the schools down.
We need complete transparency in the classroom.
That chasm between underprivileged kids and the kids who got going to school, thought it would take a few years to show itself. It's very evident right now.
Down to the states
there
and let
insane
states decide
numbers
what
of kids
education
just
looks
failing.
like in their states. And we need to start building things in
Or
America
who
again.
didn't
Let's
go
put
back at
vocational
all.
classes back in our high
Yeah.
schools, and let's get our
Fucking
kids building the
tragic.
things that we know that we can
I
make.
mean, really give it
When
like
we
about
start to
what
focus
4
on
to
that
6
and
years
really
when a lot of
bring
the
in that
kids
parental
start going
involvement,
to college
that's when
or
we'll
start
start
applying
to
to
see a
colleges and
difference. But
taking the
we've got
standardized
to get
testing.
parents back included.
It's gonna be real
We've got to
interesting real
quit
fast because we're
spending
gonna see
time on this
exactly what the learning
DEI
gap
and
is and where it
CRT
started.
and instead focus on financial literacy, on digital literacy, and on making sure that our kids know what they need to do to have the jobs of the next generation.
Part of the problem is they've moved kids to doing everything on computers.
A question for Governor Christie.
Yeah, they've
Students in
created
your
this little
state
computer
are getting
drama.
high marks on their report cards. But minorities are not doing well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you address
Well, yeah, but they could have got
first?
COVID.
You have to address all students. And look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey.
More ways to fudge the numbers if
in
you're
cities
from New
like
Jersey.
Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew are absolutely strangling. They are taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there
She
is
likes
no
Ukraine,
chance
though.
that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union
Oh, she
every
loves
day.
Ukraine. I
They
mean,
have
is there
an
any question
advocate
about that?
inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers, not for our students to be the best they can be. A President of the United States is to take on the teachers union. I did it in New Jersey, and I will do it as President of the United States.
Governor DeSantis, I have a question for you. Governor DeSantis, I have a question
Oh,
for you.
I'm so close to mimicking
Florida's
her, and
new
I'm
Black
gonna get us
History
canceled if
curriculum
I do.
says, quote, slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves,
DeSantis is like, what the fuck are you saying, bitch?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars. So we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal. Our country's education system is in decline because it's focused on indoctrination, denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice. We enacted universal school choice. We didn't just talk about Parents' Bill of Rights. We enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated critical race theory, and we now have American civics and the Constitution in our schools in a really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
That was a good response. He's doing much better this week.
For Governor DeSantis.
You know, and it's one thing I will say for Vivek and
There is not
and DeSantis is they are both parents of young children, so they actually still have
he and Kamala
a
should
vested
skin in the
interest.
game.
the one
Yeah.
sentence out. America has suffered because of slavery, but we've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues, you talked about crime and education and healthcare, we always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the Black father out of the household to get a check in the mail. And you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the family, restore capitalism, and put Americans back at work together as one American family. Our nation continues to go in the right direction. It's why I can say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are. We are the greatest country on God's green earth. And
That was good for him. They're having a good night tonight.
Needs a brand new leader, and I'm asking for your vote.
I'm going to have a question for you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Over 10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide have the ability to change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met two young women early in this campaign.
Specifically on parental rights in schools.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? Even New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece of legislation here. The very people
He's doing
who say
everything he can to make me want to like him.
Suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18, and parents have absolutely
would you try to pass a federal law that says parents should have that right?
We are going to require states absolutely have to follow that through.
Governor Burgum just to follow up on this
rights,
because
yes.
you in your state you do not have a law that says parents can't be notified, but you want to be president. Would you try to pass a federal law to say parents have that right?
I think this is a state's issue, but I do want to say something because all night long we've been talking about issues about how it's broken in Washington, and I respect all of the people on the stage here for their 100+ years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or healthcare or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have a business leader. I've got more experience as a business leader than I think this whole group combined. I know I've created more jobs than everybody else on stage, thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning. So as a business leader, you come in and you treat the taxpayer like a customer. So in North Dakota, instead of fighting with the teachers' unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets in the room and the customer is the student.
But you do understand that this is an issue that many people in America really are concerned about, worried about parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50 platforms of innovation. That's why we have states. There are certain things the federal government is supposed to do. It's not the Department of Education.
50 platforms of innovation.
Do what we did in North Dakota. Instead of like, oh, here's a choice school and here's an old school, the old way with the teachers union, the kids are trapped. We made every school in North Dakota an innovation school. Every school got out from under the red tape, and the things that help teach the values that we're trying to get, like 4-H, like FFA, like Boy Scouts, they can get credit for all of that stuff in North Dakota. And by the way, North Dakota.
Why won't she give him a chance to finish?
In the country right now.
His bell didn't go off.
Vice President Pence. The Department of Homeland Security warns that violence
against
LGBTQ+ people is on
I
the
agree.
rise
I
and
agree with
intensifying.
Wolf.
According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more
Wolf is
likely
just Fox
to
in a
be
different
victims of
fursuit,
violent
just
hate
so you know.
He said Fox
As
needs to stop
president,
debating the
how will you
candidates.
protect
Absolutely. Let the
this
candidates do
community
that.
from violent attacks and discrimination?
Well, as President of the United States, I'll stand up for the safety and the civil liberties of every American from every background. And I want the American people to know that. But I want to answer the question as well, Dana, that you just asked Doug Burgum. Because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit, I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And full disclosure, look, education is a state and local function. The state of Indiana had one of the very first school choice programs in the country. And when I was governor of the state of Indiana, we doubled it. And as to your question, Dana, let's be very, very clear. When the Linn-Mar Community Schools in Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents, I weighed in with a foundation. That's not bad policy. That's crazy.
That is a fantastic question, Brad, and one that merits an answer.
And we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender chemical or surgical surgery anywhere in the country. We've got to protect our kids from this radical gender ideology.
You know what's funny? He gets to go to his bell and nobody interrupts him.
At the state level,
but, like, I actually
with the ability to choose where the kids go to
tonight.
school, whether it's public, private, parochial, or homeschool, you empower parents.
It's all that common
sense.
Didn't get this much time.
Straighten
up and reflect
all that common sense
and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly
imagine. Pence bell went off like fucking 45 seconds ago. Why is he still talking?
China is investing. If you talk over everybody, you lose time. China is
okay, then maybe y'all need to stop talking over everybody too. You're moderators.
$280 billion.
If they're all using time, then your broadcast would be like 15 minutes short.
That is one CHIPS Act per year. Governor DeSantis, you say companies like Google and Meta have too much power. Doesn't going after them give China an edge?
No, I think you look at how our societies develop, they have huge amount of power over our society. They've cracked down on free speech. We're not saying you don't want them to do business, but you want it to be a free market. And right now they're monopolies. But this issue of China, I think is really going to be fundamental. We have subcontracted out so much of our national needs to the CCP. We rely on them for a whole host of issues. We need to reshore and we need to decouple all those important industries. We need to get that back in the United States. They are our top geopolitical adversary by a country mile. Xi Jinping's got huge ambitions, not only in the Asia Pacific, but as you mentioned earlier, in our region. But ultimately, we've got to beat him on the economy. And so that's what we'll do as president of the United States.
Governor Christie, I wanted to follow up on this because 22% of American workers fear their jobs will be lost to a robot. And you said in the past that the free market is the way to go. Would you retrain workers who lose a job to artificial intelligence, and to do what?
Well, look, what I think artificial intelligence offers us is an extraordinary opportunity to expand well beyond the productivity that we have now, and to have Americans be able to be involved in that revolution, Dana. You know, each time we have shown incredible innovation and progress in this country. What we've done with it is to expand all kinds of new, even unthought of opportunities for folks. Yes, we have to do retraining for folks who lose some of their jobs, and we should be doing that. And we should have more
Christie just wants more people to go to culinary school
level and the local level for people to be able to access
it. More restaurants
so yes, I would
open.
be in favor of that. But this is a much bigger issue than that. We can't be afraid of innovation. America has been the great innovator of this world over the last 250 years, a technological innovator, a manufacturing innovator, and a freedom and governmental innovator. And that's why America has to continue to stand strong in the world, pro-innovation, pro-progress. And I will tell you this, as President of the United States, what I will do is to make sure that every innovator in this country gets the government the hell off its back and out of its pocket so that it can innovate and bring great new inventions to our country that will make everybody's lives better.
I was thinking about that the other day. We don't have a lot of innovation anywhere outside of digital.
Because of its ties to the Chinese government. Yet you joined TikTok after dinner with boxer and influencer Jake Paul. Should the commander-in-chief be so easily persuaded by an influencer?
So the answer is I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections. And part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation of young Americans where they are. So when I get into office, I've been very clear. Kids under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media. We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1, there's exactly one person in the Republican Party which talks a big game about reaching young people, and that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust.
How do you do?
What do you see? Kids? You see a young man who's in a bit of a hurry, maybe a little ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on
I will lose myself in the music.
I actually really like this answer.
Disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a perfect nation. We're founded on the pursuit of perfection. That is what makes America great.
You can talk about how bad TikTok is, but everyone uses it.
Jump in here. I'm sorry. There's one person on this.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly,
Young
every time
people
I
can
hear you,
be
I feel a
over
little
the
bit
age,
dumber
they're
for what you say.
17,
Because I
18,
can't believe
19, 20.
that
Those are
here
still
we are
young
in
people, you
TikTok
guys.
situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our party.
She sounds so boomery right now, though.
You've gone and you've helped
Yeah.
China make medical
You sound so
in
what?
China, not America.
Boomer.
You're now wanting
Yes.
kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous
On
for
the
all of us.
social
You
media.
were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you. We can't trust you. We can't have TikTok in our kids' lives.
this is
We
very
need to ban
important.
it.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 15 seconds.
I think, excuse me.
You have 15 seconds, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you. I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually have a legitimate debate about policy following Reagan's 11th Commandment in his honor. And the answer is that is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage. They disagree, but let's have a legitimate disagreement. That's what I would say.
Stuart, can we get back to the question? The
No, we
question is
cannot.
on
Governor
technology.
DeSantis,
There's
I'm
one
going
person
straight.
on this stage
Sir,
that has a
we
career in
will have to cut your mic, and I don't want to do that. I don't.
Oh, so
Governor
they
DeSantis,
have
let
the
me go to you.
capability,
Experts
they just
say
don't
President
do
Putin
it.
Cut
has
the
ordered
damn mics,
assassinations
Dana.
across Europe, cheated on arms control. To
Yeah,
the
you need to
US,
swing
and
that
seeks to work with
sword.
China to force our decline.
She's gonna
President
ask.
Reagan
Jake
believed
said
that if
Nikki
you want
Haley's
to
gone
prevent
full
a
Karen.
war,
She's
you
gonna
better be
ask to speak
prepared
to the
to fight
manager
one.
next.
Today, the Republican Party
She's running
is
to
at
be
odds
manager.
over
That's
aid
the
to Ukraine.
problem.
The price tag so far is $76 billion. But is it in our best interest to degrade Russia's military for less than 5% of what we pay annually on defense, especially when there are no U.S. soldiers in the fight?
It's in our interest to end this war, and that's what I will do as president. We are not going to have a blank check. We will not have U.S. troops, and we're going to make the Europeans do what they need to do. But they've sent money to pay bureaucrats' pensions and salaries and funding small businesses halfway around the world. Meanwhile, our own country is being invaded.
Cool. We're building back
We
better
don't even
there
have
too.
control of our own territory. We have got to defend the American people before we even worry about all these other things. And I watch these guys in Washington, D.C., and they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the fentanyl deaths. They don't care about the communities being overrun because of this border. They don't care about the Mexican drug cartels. So as Commander-in-Chief, I will defend this country's sovereignty.
But it's not a territorial dispute. It's never been a territorial
I know, Jake. I've been trying to figure out how to put Caliber coffee over top
resources
of
that we
it.
send over to Ukraine is guaranteed. It's a loan. It is not 90% of the money that we send over there is loan. Well, we can talk about this, but at the end of the day, 90% of the money that we send over there is actually in the form of a loan. It's not actually not be paid by Ukraine. It's paid by the NATO, our NATO allies.
So I think it's a good topic.
I think it's a really good topic too. But I will say, let's debate the fact that our national vital interest is in degrading the Russian military. By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer, we keep our troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
Yeah, but he's pretty, he's not too divorced from Lady Lindsay, you know?
So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish my...
Would you hear that dig?
I'll look forward to this one right now. So at the end of the day, when you think about the fact that if you want to keep American troops at home, the attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin is not Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for
actually,
Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving
a win
Russia.
For Russia
excuse
is
me.
a win for China.
Excuse me. If you have
but
a chance,
I forgot you like China. That's why
you'll have your chance in just a moment.
Yeah.
The hurling personal insults isn't helping. China is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. We need a reasonable peace plan to end this, especially this is a country whose president just last week
Vivek,
was
if
hailing
you
a
let
Nazi in
Putin
his own
have
ranks.
Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take Taiwan.
We need a
Peace comes through strength.
Shut up.
Oh my God, dude.
Wow.
What
I can't with
though?
that shit. I can't with that. Fucking
I
Karen
will say
again.
one of the
God, they just
disadvantages for Vivek is he does not have a
and
commanding
Iran
voice.
closer together.
So when Mike
Are we
Pence or
focusing
No.
Nikki Haley,
on
Nikki Haley
Ukraine
has that
and not
shrill,
enough on this threat from the
barky
new world
voice,
order?
and
No, they're
Mike
all
Pence
connected,
has a
Stuart.
pretty booming
They're
voice.
all
When
What
they
he needs to
chime
do to
in,
overcome that is to be a
bad.
fucking
The Russian
asshole
war in
and be a
Ukraine,
smartass and make
the
fun of them.
Iranians are supplying more
I
sophisticated
agree,
weapons,
Isaac.
and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the
He's
encouragement of the
trying so
Chinese.
hard
The
not to,
naivete
though,
on this
which is
stage
actually
from some of
smart
these
on
folks
his
is
part,
extraordinary.
but it's
Look,
making him look
I
weak.
understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump. And so did Joe Biden when he said a small invasion wouldn't be so bad. Every one of them has been wrong. And the fact of the matter is, we need to say right now that the Chinese-Russian alliance is something we have to fight against, and we are not going to solve it by going over and cuddling up to Vladimir Putin. Look, Donald Trump said
The fucking
Vladimir
Ukraine,
Putin was
us back in
brilliant
Ukraine is
and a
pushing
great
Russia
leader.
towards China.
This is the person who is murdering people in his own country, and now not having enough blood, he's now going to Ukraine to murder innocent civilians and kidnap.
This is
20,000
So what's really
children.
funny
And
is
let me tell you,
nobody's
if you
even
think
fucking
that's where it's
talking
gonna
about the
stop,
fact that
This is
Russia
fucking
just
dumb.
put
Give
out
Ukraine,
a
next will
solution
be Poland.
to
This is a
ending
guy
the
who
war.
said- wait one second.
Literally
This is a guy in
this week, Russia
1991
said we
who said that
will
was the
give
darkest moment in
Crimea
world history
back to
when the Soviet
Ukraine
Union
and
fell.
recognize their
Listen, everybody,
sovereignty
he wants to put
if
the
they
old
do
band
not join
back
NATO.
together, and
They said
only
that this
America
week.
can stop it,
Nobody's
and when I'm
talking
president,
about
we
it.
will.
Well, they would be talking about it if they
deal.
listened to if they listened to everything yesterday this morning. They would know that.
Going to really like,
That's true.
or at least you have experience in it. And we
So
need
everybody
to
go
talk about
subscribe to
America's
Heather's morning
farmers,
show.
because there is a foreign policy connection here. The U.S. and China are in this fierce economic competition. It's hurting American businesses, and there is blowback against American farmers because China then targets them in retaliation. How would you, as president, protect American farmers and ranchers from that kind of retaliation from a foreign government like China?
Well, first of all, we've got the best farmers and ranchers in the world right here in America. If they have a level playing field, they can outcompete anyone in the world. But this is part of the larger issue that we're talking about here, which is we're in a Cold War with China. The Biden administration won't admit that. But we're also in a economic war through what we're doing with agriculture and energy. And we're also in a war with them relative to cyber war. We get attacked every day in North Dakota, every state, every school district, our tribes, all being attacked every day by either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. And now we've got a Biden administration whose whole policy is appeasement. They're out there, creating the world, making it less safe. $6 billion they traded for 5 people. They've just now set a price on anyone's head who's a tourist from America, who's a student from America, for kidnapping. If you want more kidnapping, put a price on it. And then they're also helping Iran get to have more closer to nuclear weapon, which pushes all of the Middle East closer to China and Russia. The whole thing is absurd. And then, of course, we're going to give Ukraine to Russia, and then we're going to give Taiwan to China and think that's a foreign policy. That will make our nation less successful, make us more poor. And at the core of all that is energy policy, because China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day. They're the largest import in the world. And we've had 4 cabinet members from the Biden administration there this summer, and none of them talked about U.S. energy. The first one to go to each of those countries was Kerry to talk about the folly of the climate policy, which is making the world less stable. It's empowering dictators. It's not about climate change that we need worried about. It's about the Biden climate policies that are actually the existential threat to America's future.
Can I speak about
I like Doug Burgum.
Poor Doug. He's not going to get anywhere near the credit he
US
deserves.
military into the country.
No.
Quote, scoundrels.
He's been phenomenal
Mexico
tonight.
is the United
Absolutely
States'
great.
most important trade partner and border security. You say you will send special operations to attack the cartels in Mexico. So this means boots on the ground, drone strikes,
It means special operations. It's how we deal with our terrorists. And what you need to do
She
is
talking about the
understand
border?
that Mexico's not being a good partner if we lost
He's talking about
75,000
going into
Americans last
Mexico
year.
and hunting
Mexico's
drug
not being a
lords.
good partner if
I'm
they're
fine with
letting the
that.
cartels get
Yeah.
away with
I'm
what
fine
they're
with
getting
that.
away
Yeah.
with.
I said
What we
weapons
will
hot
do
this
is we will
week
make
on.
sure that we send in
I'm
our
over it.
special operations, and we will take out the cartels, we'll take out their operations, we'll take out anything that's doing it. But we're going to go after China because China is the one sending the fentanyl in the first place. And we will end all normal trade relations until China stops sending fentanyl. And then we'll do the special
Oh, are you
operations,
going
and
to
we'll
do
get it
that
from
when
both sides.
90% of
This is where President
fucking
Trump went
everything we
wrong.
have
He
comes from
focused
there?
on trade with China. He didn't focus on
And
the fact
everybody
that
that
they
bought
were
her
buying
off
up our farmland.
gets
He
all their
didn't
shit from
focus on the
there.
fact
No
that they were
shit.
killing Americans. He
That's
didn't
the
focus on the
dumbest
fact that they were
statement you could
stealing
possibly
$600 billion
make
in
because it's
intellectual
not
property.
feasible.
He didn't focus on the fact that they put a spy base off our shores in Cuba. They didn't focus enough on the fact that all of our law enforcement drones in America are Chinese, and we've got all these little surveillance cells. We
God
need
damn
to
it,
start
Fox. I don't know
focusing on
why
what
you're not
keeps
in here. This
Americans
is
safe.
pissing me
That
off.
hasn't happened in a long time. As your president, I will make sure every American
And
is
he
safe,
says
and
no
we'll do
one
whatever
here
it
will
takes to
be
make that
second.
happen.
Trump
All right.
strong
I want to
2024.
get to Senator Scott.
I want rivers
You're
of
all
napalm.
auditioning for the job as
Look, at
president of
this
the United
point, I
States.
don't
You
care
want
if
to
they
earn
put
these
frickin'
votes.
sharks with
But the
frickin'
world's
laser beams
problems
attached to their
land in the
frickin'
Oval
heads in the Rio
Office.
Grande.
During
Like
the
something
presidential
more has
debates
to be
in
done.
the year 2000, neither
Yeah.
Al Gore nor George W. Bush was asked about Al
He
Qaeda.
just said
Yet,
Ramaswamy was
just 1
given
year
little
later, Al
time and
Qaeda's attack on
questions. and
September
things
11th
were weird and
claimed
awful.
nearly
Yeah.
3,000 lives.
You can tell the
And the
panel doesn't
farther
like
we get from
Ramaswamy.
September 11th,
Yeah.
the closer we are to September 10th. Senator Scott, you have no executive branch experience. What has prepared you to protect the nation from a major man-made national security crisis?
One of the things I've had the good fortune of doing is serving on committees in the United States Senate, like the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also on the Finance Committee and the Banking Committee. Talk about addressing
agree,
the issue
Deirdre.
of fentanyl.
Deirdre.
I've written the legislation, passed it through the Banking Committee and the Senate that would freeze the assets and sanction the accounts of the Mexican cartels. There are weapons that we have within the arsenal that I was able to get past 23-0 in the polarizing Senate as it is. I've also understood without question the fact that if you look at the details before 9/11, there was information and intelligence that was available that suggested an attack was coming. Having the right intelligence partners with us is key to making sure that we prevent the next 9/11 from ever happening.
Ooh, this
Having that
is
experience for the
Patriot
last
Act
10
talk, and I
years
don't like
is
it.
really
Oh
important
yeah,
in getting the
absolutely.
job done.
Mhm.
Again,
There's, 30
he is
seconds
Lady
to-
Not
Lindsay's
really
junior
what he's
senator.
talking about, but
Well, I
whatever.
think you asked a question about executive experience. I think it's vitally important. And I stand before you today as a candidate for president because I think this country's in a lot of trouble. And you hear the fire on the stage tonight. You hear the fire in all of our voices. And it's because Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. This is a time for
His
those of
cadence
us that have
sucks
the
so bad. Like those.
experience,
It's the
Yeah.
same thing every
tested
time.
experience, and a commitment to the conservative agenda.
You know he
that
did this
Ronald Reagan
50
brought
times in
forward
front of the mirror this
in this
morning.
party of a strong national defense, standing with our allies,
Since he
standing
was
up to our
fucking
enemies,
6.
supporting limited government and traditional values need to
Still
stay
all the
forward.
pizzazz of a
Because, frankly,
saltine
our
cracker.
party
Could you
does face
imagine
a
like
time
being at
for
the dinner
choosing, as
table
they
with
said at
him
the top
and like
of this
he's your
debate,
dad and like he just
whether we're
always
gonna
talks
stand
like
on
this?
the foundation of that conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan
He's
forward,
so
or
punchable,
whether we're going to
exit.
follow the siren
I
song
would
of
probably
populism
move for
unmoored to
immediate
conservative
And now is the
emancipation.
I'm the most experienced, most qualified, and most consistent conservative in this
I will be
field,
interested
and
to
I'm
see
ready
the
to lead
time
America
at the
home
end
and
of this
abroad on
debate
day one.
as to like
choosing to
who
go to a
got
break.
what
We need to
amounts.
go to a commercial break. Reagan built a coalition that lasted decades.
I will tell you
And
that
any of
DeSantis
these
is getting
candidates
run over
succeed,
again.
we'll
He's
take that
losing
up
it.
when the debate continues.
Okay,
DeSantis needs to get his ass talking or something.
Yeah.
He needs to get in front of that camera because he's lost it again.
This is his like kind of his last thing. Like
And I like what he's saying, but he just
I do
needs to
too.
get in there and say it.
I'm
Biden's
clocking out.
worthless.
I'm going to bed.
Every Pence statement
got
should
Eric,
start
be good, brother.
score and 7 years ago. Like,
See you guys
No
later.
shit. No shit.
That's all right. Be good. No, that's
bye,
exactly
Eric.
right, Beverly. That's
Oh,
exactly
Fox is
right.
here. God damn it. I hate how like my
Finally.
mic is right in front of my
Fox, what up?
It's about
dude?
time, fucker.
Fox on the run. Oh, now he's not going to chime in.
Now he's just going to sit in the room and still.
Fox, you have to take the helmet off of the fursuit for us to hear you.
Hey, if you guys need an update, 4-6 Athletics Twins, we had the over. So, cha-ching, cha-ching. We need Seattle to win.
Yeah, real quick, we'll take an opportunity to kind of just talk about who's here and what's going on. So, I'm literally Heather, and that's just kind of a joke. My real name is Heather, though. I am from Shouse in the House podcast and political podcast. And then I also have a morning show called Everything Yesterday This Morning. You can find both of those on iTunes, Spotify, all of the major carriers where you listen to your podcast. And then Chris is with Patriot Sports Radio, and Eric is with him too, but Eric just left. You can go catch all of your non-woke, just strictly sports news from Chris and the guys over at Patriot Sports Radio. They tell your show times, Chris.
With it's all sports with an occasional fuck yourself government little twist. So yeah, we're on also Fantasy Sports Corporation on YouTube. Come check us out there. We do every sport you can think of, pretty much gambling. So we will get you set up and in the money. Our showtimes, Saturday mornings for NCAA, college football, 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock a.m. Sundays, 8 through 11 for NFL football. Tuesdays, we are live.
Time, right?
Central time, yep. Tuesday, we're live with Miss Literally Heather for Patriots and Petticoats. And that's all jabs at the government. And then Wednesday, we are live with Patriot Sports Radio at 7 o'clock. And that's what we got going on.
Nice. You can also find Patriot Sports Radio podcast on all the major platforms, and then you can find their live streams on YouTube as well. So, and then Exit, Joey,
and Rumble.
And Rumble, yes. Exit is getting ready to start a new segment of Shouse in the House. They are starting Thunderdome as a regular podcast that will be done on Twitter Spaces live. So we're going to find people to fight with on the internet, and you can check that out after the fact or live. You can participate in the debate and the argument. So that's coming.
You mean Twitter wars?
Yeah.
I thought about that like a long time ago. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I am excited to see that take off. Okay. Real quick before this comes back up. I didn't know if, oh wait, hold on. Biden too old to run, and if anything happens, don't want Harris to run the country. Yeah, Julio, I'm right there with you. Didn't realize Chris and Eric were with each other. Wink, wink. Heather, I don't know if I told you, but both my boys got their new Taekwondo belts. My oldest got his junior leadership badge. Our youngest got a sportsmanship award for cheering others on. Hella proud. Congratulations.
Congratulations, man. That is awesome.
That's so cool. I'm here for it. Time to start punching down at fools. Okay, I'm trying to get to this. I'm sorry, guys.
Get through that administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here at home. But here's the other thing that we can do that's easy.
Forever, Mr. Ramaswamy.
And it addresses the national debt as well as brings down
Why do they keep interrupting him?
People back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work. That is wrong. That contributes to our supply chain crisis. It contributes to inflation. That's the easiest way to unlock this economy. And here's the other thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as our next commander-in-chief,
oh
a
shit,
new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability, and then most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%.
Wait, is this his final spiel? What is this?
Unconstitutional federal regulations that are shackling businesses, both large and small. I've offered a very clear, practical plan to do it. That's how we unleash the economy. That's how we revive the integrity of a three-branch constitutional republic, rather than this technocracy and aristocracy in the administrative state.
Response, please.
I think one of the signature accomplishments of our administration was in just a few short years, we achieved energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 75 years. But on day one, Joe Biden declared a war on energy, which was no surprise because when Joe Biden ran for president, he said he was going to end fossil fuels. And they've been working overtime to do that ever since. If I'm president of the United States, we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash American energy. We're going to have an all of the above energy strategy. And I have a plan that actually would not only reclaim energy independence, but in 2006, America lost our position as the leading energy producer on earth. I believe in the next 10 years, with the right policies and experienced leadership in the White House, we can reclaim our role as the leading energy producer on earth, and that'll grow the American economy for generations to come.
Governor Haley, reaction to that, please.
As the only person who's leading an energy state, could I answer the energy question?
No, Governor Haley.
So, the first thing I'll say is what I saw at the United Nations is national energy security is national security.
Next.
We need a president that understands.
She's done that to him
we
multiple
have to partner
times.
with our producers and make sure that we have their backs. What you don't need is a president who is against energy independence.
Fox, I don't know why it shows you with two things
He's
in here.
against drilling. He's been against. You did it.
It's a Twitter app issue because Twitter sucks.
Because what happens on day 2
Okay, do you want me to get rid of the other one?
In Florida, you
Yeah,
banned fracking,
definitely.
you banned offshore drilling, you did it on federal lands, and you took
Thought I was talking to the void.
Vivek
just Kennedy'd himself over
I just did a plan out
Federal
in West
Reserve
Texas
talk.
for American energy dominance. We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we're going to choose Bakken over Beijing, and we are going to lower your gas prices. We are going to get that job done because it's important for our national security. It's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis.
I mean, I think this is like there's
They, like,
everyone
lean
is
it out
talking
for
about
DeSantis.
opening drilling.
Our voters enacted a constitutional
You
amendment
banned it before
that
they
doesn't
voted.
allow. No, it's not true.
You banned it before they voted, and not only that, they didn't vote on fracking.
Totally wrong. They voted it in. That's what we did. Onshore, we do it in Florida. We don't have as much as maybe West Texas, but we do it. But that was the Constitution. So that's just wrong. And let's just get real here. My plan will get the job done. We are going to be energy dominant, and that's what's going to happen.
And the voters didn't even vote on fracking. You banned
We are
fracking.
moving on with this question for Governor DeSantis.
He gets so uncomfortable too.
Excuse me.
Because she's a woman.
We must respect each other's time. My apologies.
She's such a cunt.
Governor
No, I don't
DeSantis,
like her at
this is
all.
your
They all are.
The Biden administration is hell
This
bent on
debate's
student
terrible.
loan forgiveness.
Shut up,
I
Bob.
like
You
you,
say
Beverly.
colleges
Really
should
not
be on
liking
the hook
Princess
when
Interruptus
graduates
right now.
cannot pay their debt. How does that address the cost of college? How does that the
I want
cost of college
DeSantis to
itself?
bitch
Because the
slap her.
colleges are going to have to make a decision. Do we expand the gender studies department, knowing some of those graduates may not have great learning opportunities? No, they're going to focus on the things that really matter. They're going to make different choices. They're going to try to graduate people in 4 years. I also just want to come back to something Dana asked last segment about 9/11, because I was just at the 9/11 memorial with the families. My wife and I were invited. It's very touching to be there, and it affected my life because I ended up joining the military as a result of that. I had been a blue-collar kid, minimum wage in Dunedin, Florida. I ended up getting through
hate that
Yale
he
and
keeps
Harvard Law
beating this
School, and
stick.
somehow came out more conservative than when I went in, and that is not easy to do. Had a lot of opportunities to make money, but I wanted to serve, and I'll never forget.
That's
coming
on
back
whether
the
or not the
plane
word
from Iraq,
seal comes out of
landing
his
in
mouth.
Coronado, California, North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what?
Yeah, I think the
am lucky to
9/11
have been
cards
born in
played out
America,
on my
and I think being
generation.
able to serve, and I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually
It just
served
reminds
overseas
everybody
in
of
a
the
war.
fact that
I
our
think that's
government
going to help
lied
me
to
as
us and is
commander-in-chief
incompetent for
to know
20 years.
how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives
And
at
wasted
stake for people that we're being
exorbitant
And we know
amounts of
that
your
Governor
money.
Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that.
I think that was
Senator,
actually a good answer, but I couldn't hear it because two idiots
the
were
approval
talking.
rate for Congress is at a mere 19%.
Just
If
kidding.
this sort of business,
You didn't
Hey,
miss
you'd probably
anything.
all
It
be
was,
fired in
it
Washington, but you're
was,
here tonight looking
vote for
promotion.
me. I
In
did things. 9/11.
Governor Haley hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to CEO of the nation instead of her.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have an opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does in every state in our nation, number one. Number two, if you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy. In order to grow our economy, you need to create about 10 million jobs to grow our economy at 5%. You can do that in three specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million jobs if we unleashed all of our energy resources. America is we're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not unleash all of our resources? Number two, we've lost 100,000 factories.
I know.
100,000 factories in the last 25 years.
Well, they all say it,
If
but
we
apparently a
continued on
president can
Made in America
unilaterally
plan, we could bring
cancel
jobs back to America in a similar
oil and gas
fashion that we
leases.
did
So
when I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
you open it up.
How's he going to pass this in Congress when he's president? When
Yeah,
he
I
hasn't
hate
done it
when
now.
they get up here and they talk about stuff and they're like, I will do this. And it's like, I don't want somebody that rules with the power of the
in
pen.
the history of the country. And a
Well,
70-year
I just want someone who's doing it now. Like, why doesn't he why doesn't he get this passed right now?
I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long
It's
time,
true.
but he's been there
It's a
12 years
really
and
good
he
point,
hasn't done
actually.
any of that. He hasn't. They've only given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending.
You voted
He has
for,
made sure that the
you
borders
actually
are open and
asked
they
for a
haven't done
gas
anything.
tax
Look at
increase
everything
in South Carolina.
12 years. Where have you been? Where
I voted no on all.
Tim?
I voted on most of those things.
We've
I have
waited
voted
and
most.
nothing has
Here,
happened.
Her,
here's what you've done.
that profile is so bad. She looks like a witch.
Let me finish this.
She's really
I was saying
playing
the same thing.
the tattletale Karen card
That
really well.
chin where like that's a bad profile.
Wicked Witch of South Carolina there.
You can always talk, but when it gets hot in there, when they're shooting arrows at you, are you going to stand up for parents' rights, keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights. We have turned our state into a Republican state. People respond to leadership. I've done it while others have talked about it.
CEO, we actually have a CEO of the White House, which is what I think we need. If I may just briefly interject here, we need a zero-based budgeting. That's the way businesses are actually run. Start with zero as the baseline for the budget, and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't a blue state or a red state in this union that does it. The federal government doesn't do it. But successful companies, including the ones that I've built as a CEO, will do it. And I think we need a CEO in the White House to get that done.
Governor Burgum runs a state that way.
Yeah,
yes,
tech
go
questions,
ahead.
you didn't ask the only guy that's been in tech. You have energy questions, you don't ask anything. But I'm just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans they're already talking about, we've got troops down at the border flying helicopter missions from North Dakota, from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state. And on the energy policy, we're already doing it. It's not saying when nobody else done the big fights, North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration, who was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the quarterly required lease sales, and we won that in federal court. WOTUS, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts. to say that nobody's fighting the big fights. Just look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security have been talking about it since day one, and now finally, good, we're having the conversation about it. But we've got the answer in North
he is
Dakota.
not part of the agenda.
Let's talk big government.
But he's good. Like, he's been really, really good tonight.
Bigger. 1/5 of all new jobs this year have been created by the government. Governor Burgum, you say you want to shrink the size of government, but it has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done it in North Dakota. When I took office, we shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office, and all the trains still running on time. Why? Because you had a business leader that was actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you can engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20% of 2 million civilian employees. And by the way, we've got 10 million jobs open. They'd have plenty to do, and they could be generating taxes instead of being paid by taxes. This is totally possible to do it if you have somebody that understands, because having worked in
God, I like him a lot.
years, everything
If he doesn't get at least
for Doug Burgum instead of Vivek.
that's what we
if
can
he
do.
doesn't, get some kind of bump from this, I don't know what to tell anybody. Like, if there's an adult on that stage right now.
About something that I think is on a lot of Republicans'
yes,
minds.
Joey, yes.
This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent pro-choice voters
facial expressions
in
are
Arizona?
so bad.
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan, and I noticed that there was a quote where it says, every single person has purpose and worth. We're better off when everybody counts. And I think we should stand for what we believe in. I think we should hold the Democrats accountable for their extremism, supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is infanticide, and that is wrong.
Let me ask Governor Christie. Governor Christie, do you think that Governor Christie, do you think that Republicans can do that in Arizona if this referendum is on the ballot there?
Yeah, because I did it in New Jersey, Dana.
Then why are all these other states losing?
Well, because they don't have leaders in those states who are leading the fight the way it should be led. And the fact is, look, I was a governor here of the only blue state that's represented.
They don't have people shutting down
This is where the
bridges
fight is really tough for
and
Republicans.
extorting.
Nobody has still called him out on being arrested.
And what we did was 14 times, Dana, in
and
8 years,
indicted.
I vetoed Planned Parenthood funding.
I'm
14
surprised
times.
he gave this answer.
No one else gets it that much. The Democrats just kept sending it to me, and I kept saying no because I believe in life, but I also believe in states' rights.
Do you think it's because nobody wants to punch down? They don't see him as a viable candidate?
These decisions. So we're going to have those fights in the states. But what you need is a leader who can talk to people and make them understand that if you're pro-life, you have to be pro-life for the entire life, not just the 9 months in the womb. And we talked a lot about
here comes Mike Pence.
We haven't spoken one moment about treatment.
All right, I take my
But
compliment
we need to
back.
make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the floor of the county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state, which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them the truth from my heart.
Thank you.
Vice President Pence, the latest Univision poll found that 73% of Latino voters think the Republican Party doesn't care about or is being hostile toward them, the Hispanic community. Only Governor DeSantis has translated his campaign into Spanish. How will you reach out to Latino voters?
Well, I promise you that we're going to continue to build bridges to every community in this country.
Well, we're going to kick them out of the country.
I'm incredibly proud of that tax cut and tax reform bill. I worked on Capitol Hill to help get that bill passed into law, the largest tax cut in American history. We saw literally the lowest unemployment ever recorded.
You know something, War Dog? I would love to be like president just to heckle Mike Pence every time he opens his mouth.
Low
so I hear you.
So I think the president of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with the unborn and the aged and the infirm.
There you
and it
go,
begins
exit.
with every ethnic group in this country. And I promise you, if I'm president of the United States, I'll be a champion. I'll be a champion for the American dream, for Hispanic Americans and for every American. So help me God.
Senator Scott, reaction?
Yes, there's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. If you look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she was the best.
Oh, don't play identity politics.
We have. What we need.
Oh,
are
great! It's a
leaders who
diversity
lead by
bowl.
example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10-cent gas tax increase in South Carolina. Talk about someone who has never seen a federal dollar she doesn't like. 10 cents on the gallon in South Carolina. As the UN ambassador, you literally put $50,000 on curtains in a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the establishment.
Just go to YouTube.
Against the establishment.
Just go to
and
YouTube
you want to know what that 10 cent was? When they wouldn't pass the gas tax, the establishment and the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said the only way I will pass
He's one of the YouTube boomers.
What you have to do is go watch Nikki Haley on YouTube.
If you will give me 3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas tax, which is why it didn't happen.
Exactly, Ron.
Secondly, on the 50 million.
Here is a nice part.
Secondly, on the curtains, do your homework, Tim, because Obama.
Vivek is like, yes, crusher.
It's in the
Did you send them back?
It's the State Department.
Did you send them back?
Did you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the residence. You
Kicked them out.
Yeah, you picked on. You had him show up before you got there. You had Ethan Allen come through.
You wanted a gas tax increase, and then you wanted
Wow, this is
Vivek's got a
bad.
shit-eating grin on his face.
Go ahead like this. In fact, we're about to take a commercial break. We'll have more of the second Republican debate live from the Reagan Presidential Library in just a few moments.
Okay, Fox needs to not host any more debates because this is 2 in a row now that have been just an abject shit show.
Oh, these debates are a fucking disaster for Fox News, and Twitter's just confirming that right now.
Okay,
everybody's unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the problem, right? Like, your job is to moderate, your job is not to debate, and your job is not to pick and choose who gets what. Like, they have interrupted Vivek and Doug Burgum more than anyone else on that stage. Neither one of them, I think Vivek one time has made it to his bell before they've interrupted them and not let them proceed.
Well, the bad part about this is, why do you have a former, White House staffer for George W. Bush up there when that family is still involved in funding campaigns and everything else? She's not giving an unbiased take.
Right. That's true.
The Bush era died in Texas like last week.
Oh, you want
for
a nice
now,
shot of Matt Best, guys?
For now.
Hey, hold on. Real quick plug. I'm going to put it in the chat. You should go check out Caliber Coffee with Palmetto State Armory, a company that actually cares about gun rights. Okay. Public service announcement over. Go ahead.
What was the Matt Best reference? Did he pop
He's
up
in that
chat?
commercial.
Oh, that's awful.
Okay, I'm going to go pull a link real fast. You guys talk. Actually, go through the chat. Here, hold on. Beverly said, Democrats eat their young. Whether it's abortion, transgenderism, they look for ways to eliminate their own procreative contributions. It's very odd. You're right. Deb says Christie needs to go back to a beach that the public can't go to. He doesn't have my vote either. So it's really interesting because that has not been brought up one time in either one of these debates. And I don't understand why. Nobody punches at Chris Christie. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, and there's such an easy line of attack there.
Yes.
Especially
he gets to showboat and be grandiose, but he never ever.
I kind of wonder if no one's taking him seriously because he's still low in polling.
That's what I said a minute ago.
But like you can knock him out. You can knock him out. You can knock him out with one of those.
I mean, somebody really just needs to do to Christie what Tulsi Gabbard did to Kamala Harris. Like, I mean, just get it over with.
I think it'd be more. it'd be more. It'd do more damage. You know what I mean?
This is why they'll lose. We'll get
I get
the same bullshit.
I get what you mean because with public corruption indictments obviously being the thing of the day.
Well, that he totally tried to like make a huge case on like how he's some like white knight.
Who did?
Chris Christie.
Oh yeah.
And like he's gonna go fight corruption. It's like Christie, you lying sack of shit. Like you
Christie is
what
corruption.
we're talking about. Yeah, you are what we're talking about.
Like
you're the quintessential Northeast fucking politician.
If New Jersey politics and the notorious corruption of New Jersey politics could be coalesced into a thing that kind of looks like an orca, it would be Chris Christie. Like, let's be honest here. He is everything wrong with that type of party machine that exists in certain states. Exit's absolutely right about that.
I thought. I liked him before he proved to be scumbag.
Isn't this all though because he shut down one bridge one time?
Well, I mean, there was the beach thing too.
The beach thing too, but he shut down the bridge, but it was totally political persecution, basically, or extortion. But then he goes on to try to say that he is, fucking King Arthur coming from Camelot to save the fucking day. When it's like, no, dude, you are.
Well, let me ask you this: is there such thing as wrongdoing against a Democrat?
I mean, yeah, sure.
You were supposed.
I'm not exactly sure.
You're supposed to say no.
Hey guys, I gotta get out of here. I'll watch though.
Former President Donald Trump.
See ya.
But it was fun. Exit Fox, it's nice to see you. Joey, tell your cat I said what up.
Which one?
You know what? Just for you, Chris. Here he is, right?
Should be voted
nice.
Say hi, Leo. Okay.
What's up, brother?
Please use your.
All right, Heather. Have a good night.
See you, Chris.
15 seconds. Starting now, of the people on the stage, who should be? I'm absolutely serious.
With all due respect, I mean, we're here, like, we're happy to debate, but I think that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to participate.
Let's do some questions.
What was the?
I want to be.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you something. Then, if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is your mathematical path?
Yes.
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race.
So,
well, what's the fucking point of having the debate then, Dana?
Voters elect presidents, and we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do it in a state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't. We delivered it in Florida. And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something. Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie, I believe I did see you write something on the card. Who was it?
No, but I'll certainly tell you.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I think
Well,
I've
he
been the
hates
only one on
Trump,
the
so
stage
he'll
who's
chime
clear
in.
about this.
Well, yeah.
I vote Donald Trump off the island right now. And the reason I vote him off the island,
but any of the people on the stage,
you know what? Every person on this stage has shown the respect for Republican voters to come here to express their views honestly, candidly, and directly, and to take your questions honestly. I have respect
how
for every
Vivek
man
responds
and
right
woman
here
on
is
this
going to be
stage
interesting.
because they've done it. Vivek, put your hand down for a second, would you? I still got time, dude. So chill out. Here, look. This guy has not only divided our party, he's divided families all over this country. He's divided friends all over this country. I've spoken to people, and I know everyone else has, who have sat at Thanksgiving dinner or at a birthday party and can't have
he knows a thing or two about Thanksgiving dinner
anymore if they disagree with Donald Trump. He needs to
He needs to say he will not divide us.
He needs to be voted off the island, along with any of the family members that agree with him.
I have a different view on this. I think Trump was an excellent president, but the America First agenda does not belong to one man. It does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, the people of this country. And the question is, who's going to unite this country and take the America First agenda to the next level? When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, we did not just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. So yes, I will respect Donald Trump and his legacy.
Have you guys seen the compilation videos where he just repeats what Obama said?
To the next level, and that will take a different.
No, but you're gonna have to send that to me, Fox.
It's all over Twitter, and I've reposted it.
Live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Wait, we're going to commercial again already?
Here tonight, and we will see you out on the campaign trail.
No, it's over.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
It's just trash, dude. They're just trash.
Okay, this is the bottom line here.
What?
And it's not gonna. There was no closing statements. Like that was our closing statement.
I'm
sorry. What?
Terrible.
Look, if I were somebody at the RNC that actually cared about winning a fucking election, which I'm not even convinced that they do at this point, you need to pull out of having whatever contract deal, whatever it is with Fox, because this is not working. Look, all that's being put on display right now is that the Republican Party is a shit show. That's all anybody is seeing right now. They're fighting with each other, talking over each other. No one is articulating anything. And when they do start to articulate something, you've got fucking Mike Pence over here talking about how he wants to introduce legislation to ban the damn X-Men. Come on now.
Yeah, I am blown away. Even the last debate wasn't this bad. They at least got closing statements in the last debate, but this one is terrible.
Like I know that we were late coming on the air tonight, but what is anybody taking away from that? If I am I understand that this is a primary debate, but so let's take the low propensity primary voters out of the equation, and let's assume that there's going to be some sound bites here that are going to get repeated in the general.
Right.
What are you going to what is Joe Biden going to be afraid of at this point? Because all he gets to say is, look how ineffectual these people are over here, while you can't put food on the table. Oh, that's not my fault.
Right. Okay, so let's go down through the list. Let's just do that for go candidate by candidate. Like, what were our takeaways from each candidate? So Beverly, I don't know if you're asking us or the chat. So I'll wait and answer that in a second. So let's go from inside to outside. DeSantis first. What do we think about his performance tonight?
It was better than last debate. That's for damn sure.
Was better than last debate. I think that he was strong, but not strong enough.
I don't think Fox wanted him to complete a single fucking answer he made.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him answer.
I think it's like Fox doesn't want any non-establishment candidate to win.
Yeah, like Nikki Haley, Mike Pence. They
want
Mike
Pence and Chris Christie.
Yep.
Like, holy shit, they love those fucking people. It's weird.
Yep. The only person that that Dana Perino threatened to cut off was Doug Burgum. I mean,
which is insane because he had the best night, in my opinion, so far.
Absolutely. I mean,
he did have the best night.
Absolutely. I mean, he came out of nowhere. The problem is he just doesn't have it. Like, does that make sense?
I don't know. Tonight was more
He's
it.
close to having it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think he was given the chance to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I can. Yeah, I can go with you on that. But especially with energy right now, because look, gas right now in downtown LA. I always judge it by the Shell station that I pass on the train every day. That was $6.50 something a gallon today, and it's not going to surprise me to find out that's going to go up tomorrow.
I've been bitching about $4.50, so
But I mean, the problem with Doug Burgum, and so you got to contrast him to like Donald Trump's like rise in 2016. Like Trump, whether I mean, I'm not sure if he thought about it, but like his messaging, and maybe it's like a Queens, New York sort of thing where he's quick witted, good at talking shit. I'm sure from like the way where he grew up around a lot of construction sites, like he learned how to riff with dudes. But like Doug Burgum, like there was times where Burgum was like he would start to like respond, and his response would kind of like it would gather steam. Like imagine a wave that's picking up, and it's about ready to like really hit its crest, and then Fox would cut his fucking legs off. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like he was about ready to the hammer hitting the nail, but they never really gave him a chance to do it.
If they would have let him talk on energy and tech, which are the two things that he's strongest on, he would have done amazing tonight. But they wouldn't let him speak on those.
He can't do energy, that. Especially. He can't do it in 15 seconds. Make an awesome point. Whereas, like I think Trump
try to get Doug on the podcast.
Trump could do things. Good luck. That'd be fucking awesome.
That would be amazing, Heather. If you can get him on the podcast for even for like Liberty Happy Hour, that'd be great.
But like,
well, no one else is giving him airtime, so why not?
True. Good point.
Yeah. He'd be great, and he has nothing to lose. He needs to be more aggressive for the next debate if he's going to stay in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think about all the things that Trump, like, because you'd be in jail, and now that was the general versus Hillary, but like these zingers, which that had nothing to do with policy or anything, but they were quick and like there's nothing in it. No one could get in front of him and cut him off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but it just seems like that's the problem right now, where the establishment candidates are getting this weird, like they have this weird set of training wheels where they're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, dude, like is the mic louder for them? Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
I thought the same thing. I thought that Mike Pence's mic was significantly louder than anyone else, and Nikki Haley's, than anyone else's on the stage.
Like, what if that's like the dirty shit they were doing? Like, just turn it down. I thought at the end, Vivek sounded really low.
That's what I was saying. I don't know if you were on here yet. He doesn't have a commanding voice. He has a pretty shrill voice for a male, and that doesn't help him. That does not do him any favors in these types of debating situations. Like when he and Nikki Haley were going back and forth at one another, they sounded like the same person.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about Christie is Christie's still like, while he is a dirtbag, he's got swagger.
Yeah.
I just tweeted.
He is needed. He's there as a sacrificial candidate because he knows he won't win, but he's the only voice that can really be anti-Trump without everyone else alienating the Trump base.
Well, I think I mean he's not going after Nikki Haley, and he's not really hardly going after Mike Pence, right? Like,
I don't think he really needs that for two reasons. One, the caste blood feud between Vivek and Haley is enough, and then two, like Nikki Haley is so overboard insane that she's just gonna like nobody will elect that.
What is her deal with Vivek? Like, why does she hate him so much?
the only way I can
losing to him
because she's losing to him. Yeah, that's
they are from different castes. They hate each
way.
other. It's gotta be that, dude. It is no, like you look at that feud. That is like spurned lover blood feud from the ancient cultures' hatred of each other.
Well, I don't think. I think it's more. I mean, it's more from her than it is from him.
One way.
This is his family stole a goat from my great grandfather.
You're so stupid. Angela said, watch Trump prior to the debate. Did anybody catch Trump's speech before we came on?
No.
He said, not a one is VP material. Quite a statement considering Pence is there.
Okay,
it is quite a statement, but I don't know that I would call it a surprising statement. Like there's no love lost between those two individuals.
My current working theory is that Trump's gonna Carrie Lake is his surrogate right now in California.
It's gonna be Carrie Lake.
So it'll be Carrie Lake.
She just came out and said some really fucking stupid shit that like it just turned me on. It's like.
And so what happened? So we're gonna talk about that for a second. So Mike Pence is always louder than I want him to be. That's just her whiny harpy voice. So let's talk about this Donald Trump situation, right? So he's not on the stage tonight. The American people, I will say, I mean, like, I understand many people are Team Trump, like they're all in for Trump, and I respect that. Everyone has the right to choose who they want to vote for, and I fully respect that. But there are a lot of people that don't like Donald Trump, right? Like they're not fans of him. Fox is one of those people. Fox hates Donald Trump, right? So my question is, what does it look like? Because they did make a valid point tonight when they were talking about how disrespectful it is that Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people enough to stand on stage and either A, defend his administration's actions, or B, talk about what his plans are moving forward. He expects you to, watch something else or whatever. So I think that's a valid argument. I think that's a valid point made. I get why Trump's not coming on the stage, because all that will happen will be a bash fest from everyone else against him. So I get that. Do what?
I agree.
Yeah, when you're leading at the level that he is, that would only do him a disservice. If he had a bad debate performance with those people, that would only hurt him. So why take the time to do it? However,
I think at this point he needs to earn people back. And people will go out there and say a lot of things about the last election, but the truth is a lot of Republicans did not show up to vote for him.
Yeah. And I think that's the case now. Fox, if Donald Trump wins the primary, are you going to go vote for him?
No, he won't. He's a coward.
No, I won't.
I know.
Trump's one of the most left-wing presidents we've had. He's proven that he not only is he awful when disaster strikes, but his instincts are dog shit. And he will ruin this country if he's in the Oval Office ever again.
So, Exit, I heard you say I kind of disagree before I come to you, because I want to hear your thoughts on that. But, Fox, when you say he has bad decision making, my problem with Trump is that he aligned himself with not good people in his last administration. He has terrible discretion when it comes to choosing who to have in office with him.
It's not just personnel, but it was the priorities in office. Like in 2016, he ran on a massive infrastructure plan that would
and let Joe Biden fucking pass it.
And not only that, but in the first week, he fired everybody that he had hired on his transition team, and he tossed it aside and said, "We're not going to do that." And then on like his political instincts to deal with Paul Ryan to literally do nothing with his majority for 2 years. And then on every other single issue. And then it all came to a head with COVID. And when you look at the timeline of decisions made during COVID and what he did, his political instincts were pretty much make it into a crisis where he can come in and save the day. And everything after that point was a disaster.
And I mean, like, my biggest bone of contention, I think, with Donald Trump, like the place where I just can't get there, right, is the fact that he allowed Deborah Birx and Anthony Fauci to remain in the positions that they were in for the length of time that he did, and for the decisions that he made regarding COVID. Like, I am having such a hard time because it opened the door to what we dealt with in the first 2 years of the Joe Biden administration.
Exactly. And it expanded federal power. And now we have a shit ton of people who are dead because of the vaccine. We have people who died without being able to see relatives or attend funerals. We have tens of thousands of people who have all these horrific side effects and enlarged hearts from the vaccine. There's no accountability for it whatsoever. Tons of people lost their jobs as a result because they took a stand and said, I'm not going to take this experimental poison.
Right.
It was awful. I mean, who needs Mark of the Beast and end times prophecy when you have Donald Trump and flu?
Jake said Trump is going to catch shit if he gets elected again anyway. If he wants the job, he's going to have to prove that he can take dissent. He won't go to the debate because he can't handle criticism. I agree. I think I said that actually. But
I don't think you agree, but your answer before is very logical. Like, it can only hurt him right now to go.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a dog pile. It's going to be a dog the whole time.
On the other side of that, 2016 Trump was at his best when he was on the debate stage.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I mean, I don't understand why he's ceding this. I mean, I understand why, but ceding this ground just does not make a whole lot of political sense. I mean, yes, it would be a dog pile, but they dogpiled him in 2016, and he really came out smelling the better for it.
Okay, so I know this is
stage look like an idiot.
I know this is going to sound stupid, but it kind of makes me wonder if, because when he goes and does these speeches, that's written in advance and stuff like that. I wonder if with the indictments, and Vox, you can speak to this again, like I said, this may be stupid, but I wonder if he's just so limited or afraid that he's going to incriminate himself with something that he ends up saying like off the cuff on that debate stage, if that's part of the reason, like if his legal team has maybe advised him not to do the debates.
I was actually going to comment on that it's a possibility that they don't want him to speak because, I mean, the guy has...
He flies off at the mouth all the time.
He's got the superpower of putting his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
And screwing himself over on a regular basis. And the other thing too, well, I mean, yeah, they'll hammer him on his litigation, and he'll probably say something that's going to definitely be used against him down the road. But he's also very low energy these days.
Yeah, his Tucker Carlson interview was really sad to watch, actually.
He seemed tired.
Yeah. Wore out. Beverly said at the end of the day, you have to pull for the home team. A lot of captains are total garbage. The team matters. I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't disagree with that. If Donald Trump is the nominee, I will probably end up voting for Donald Trump again for the third time, which frankly, Beverly, I don't want to do. I don't actually want Donald Trump to be our candidate after the primary.
God forbid that he gets to that, but yeah, I mean, I would do. Can't say that I would, because the alternative is what, another 4 years of Joe Biden, or really
We
God
can't.
forbid.
I don't think as a nation, and I mean this, I don't mean this hyperbolically. I don't mean this exaggeratively. I do not think that the United States can withstand another 4 years of a Joe Biden presidency.
We can't afford another 4 years of a Joe Biden presidency. I mean, you want to talk about it as far as, just the money side of things. Because look, here's what's probably going to happen is we're well on trajectory. If it's not already here, well, it's not here already, but there's a deflationary recession right around the corner. The Biden administration wants to claim
It's working so good for you.
But but then if he gets into office for another 4 years, and we were to lose the majority, say in the House, which is a very real possibility, then there goes the blank check again. You have Hakeem Jeffries with the speaker's gavel, and you've got Joe Biden ready to spend like a drunken sailor. So everybody just think really long and hard before you say that if Trump is the nominee, that you wouldn't vote for him. And think about that. Think about that scenario with Joe Biden in for another 4 years. Last time this man can run for office, because honestly, he'd probably be dead. He's old. And then think about Hakeem Jeffries with the speaker's gavel along with
Kamala
that.
Harris as president, Hakeem Jeffries in the House, and Chuck Schumer in the Senate.
I'll ask this. I mean, how different is it from when Trump was president, though? Because I literally see no difference except for a little bit of escalation. I think it would become even more chaotic. And I'll say, like, I don't even think we make, like, realistically, this country's over already. I mean, you have the equivalent of the Russian army, the full strength of the Russian army came across our southern border, 3 months out of this year, and it just keeps on fucking coming. Like, this nation does not recover from that.
But it wasn't the Russian army.
But it wasn't the Russian army. But
he said the equivalent of
with all the people begging to go to war with our non-existent military against every fucking country on earth, for reasons, Nikki Haley. I think we need to start putting things in perspective that, maybe we should spend more time concerned about our border and what we're doing here at home rather than, giving
I totally agree. And I go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, Jake, your analogy is shitty because the truth is the better analogy is, why does a team that's winning with a minute and 30 seconds left, just in its first down, why do they just take the knee and run the game out, run the clock out?
I don't know. Ask Pete
Because
Carroll.
they're already going to win. That's why he wouldn't show up at the debate, because he thinks he can't lose. So.
I also agree with this comment. People have not become uncomfortable enough. So it's really interesting because I have my Twitter life and then I have like my real life. So the soccer gymnastic mom world, they are not complaining about the economy, the amount of gas costs that they're paying, food costs. That is not the conversations that they're having. Do you know what they're having conversations about? How hard it is to get Taylor Swift tickets. How long it took in the fucking car rider line. What the lady said at Whole Foods that pissed them off. When they're going to take their vacation to Turks and Caicos next week. Like, these people have not been touched yet. There is a class and group of individuals that either they are doing so much girl math in their life that they really have no concept, but they haven't been touched yet. And until they are, things will remain fairly status quo.
I'm seeing the same thing. They just don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care.
The mindset is we've been through this before because of 08
it'll
and
get better,
2000, and it will get better because it always gets better. When the reality is, sometimes your civilization gets overrun by foreigners and the economy collapses and you're screwed and everything sucks. And I think we're at that point in the world because, I mean, what's going to bring this economy back? Unless we import, we have to import manufacturing today and then wait years until prices stabilize in order for us to, actually recover. But
and to Fox's point, I mean, there's two major bubbles, I guess, to watch right now. One of them is the credit card debt bubble. We talked about this on Liberty Happy Hour last week. Was it last week? Yeah, the credit card debt bubble, which is crazy right now because of inflation, and the housing bubble that's starting to become a thing again. Those two together is not good.
And the student loan payments as well, although
that actually might help because it's going to take discretionary spending out of the economy and out of circulation.
That would be bad, but something they did, and I just learned this today.
Did you know that they extended it?
So what they did, Heather, is because of COVID rules, they paused everything for 3 years.
Right.
So everything's a zero payment until next year.
Yep. Your interest will still accrue over the course of the next year, but you do not have to start paying until next October.
Depending on what plan you're on, you may not even have to pay interest on it, which is hilarious.
So they just rerouted their decision to forgive it. They're going to find a way to do it if they get reelected.
Yep. Well, and I mean, at this point, I don't mind.
Yeah.
And part of it is
at this point, like if you're going to fucking give money away for free, just forgive my shit too.
Well, you may as well at least forgive the interest. And the reason why is like the interest doesn't go to pay anything other than the processors who are federal contractors, and those people make bank.
Yep.
That's
Jake, to answer
tens
this
of
question,
millions a
yes.
year bank.
So, real quick fun fact. So when I first started in sales, one of the when you're learning how to get people to buy your products, you learn these different manipulation techniques. And one of the things is called the Jones effect. And if you've ever worked a sales job, you intentionally drop hints and discuss the fact that, oh, when I met with your cousin Deborah, she bought this system or whatever it is that you're selling. And you create the desire to keep up with the Joneses, essentially, is what you're doing. And so to Jake's question, do you think they may feel like if they admit economic discomfort, they may lose social status? Absolutely, all day long. There's a part of me that wonders, how much credit debt are you living on? Joey, is that your mom or your grandma?
No, that would be my mother.
Yeah.
Walking in the background.
She's really cute. She's like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. So I sit and I wonder, I'm like, when we talk about these trillions of dollars of credit card debt, how much of that are you guys sitting on for your vacation? Do you really need that vacation, or is that just so you can show people that you're doing fine, you're doing well? The cars that these people are purchasing, it's crazy.
Well, a lot of this, I guess kind of plays into the social media aspect of it, is that with social media, we've created another false reality for ourselves with all of this stuff, with the vacations and the cars and everything of that nature. And so you have to keep up these appearances now because the appearances are right out there on Instagram. And that's fueling a lot of this debt bubble, because where is that all going now? It's going into the credit card debt. And that is the biggest threat to our economy right now, is the credit card debt and where it's gotten. And once that bubble bursts, we are in deep 2008 levels of shit, maybe worse.
Yeah. And it's coming, right? Like eventually they're going to get to the point, I say it's going to get to the point where people aren't able to afford the lifestyles that they created prior to this type of inflationary measure.
All right. So I have always been thinking about all these people coming across the border and things like that. Or maybe people think that it's obvious, but I think that it's foreign countries are sponsoring that, paying for that, driving that.
Our own country is doing that through.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think other countries are really pouring fuel on that fire.
Sure.
Here's something Putin said. This was back in 2021. Putin said, okay, people do this. And they said, we hear threats from Congress and from other sources. It's all done within the context of the United States domestic political process. People who do this, they probably assume the United States has such economic, military, and political might that it can get away with that. It is no big deal. That is what they think. Putin said such behavior reminded him of the Soviet Union. The problem with empires, this is what Putin said. He's fucking smart.
He really is. I know he's a horrible human, but he's really smart.
All right, listen to this. He goes, the problem with empires is they think they are powerful enough to make some mistakes. We will buy these people, bully them, make a deal with them, give necklaces to them, threaten them with battleships, and this will solve all the problems.
Are you speaking with your Russian accent right now?
Yes, a little bit. Okay, slightly. I didn't mean to.
I got it.
And this will solve all the problems. But problems accumulate. A moment comes when they cannot be solved anymore.
It's true.
Right?
I mean, it's very valid.
It just seems like it's like I read that like 2 years ago, and I always keep coming back to it.
Man, what a black pill. Let's hope Merck doesn't watch the rest of this stream tomorrow.
Oh dear.
Oh my God, Fox. I hate you so much.
What do you do now? A piece of shit.
Look at his fucking avatar.
It's great. It's a great avatar. He will save us.
It's the
He will save
best.
us.
So I guess if we want to answer that last question, I'm going to pretty much have to take off here, go do a few things. But somebody asked like who we're voting for.
Oh, yeah. I apologize, Beverly. She's probably gone now, but yeah.
I hope she's
so
still
right
here.
now, after today's debate, Joey, who are you voting for in the primary?
If it were today, I would probably still stick with Ron DeSantis, but I'm going to I'm going to be watching Burgum just a little bit closer because I don't see how he doesn't get some kind of bump from tonight.
Yeah.
He did so well.
I agree. All right, Exit. Who are you voting for if the primary is today?
So what I would say is that, who needs fucking like Rumble or some sort of like online streaming service that isn't like at, captive to these advertisers where it has to cut away to, a segment of advertising. Well, I mean, people need to go to the bathroom, take breaks, I guess, but so we can have more of a long form debate, like a 3-hour fucking thing, and actually cover ground.
Yeah.
Because today sucked. I'm kind of torn. I almost feel like I need to go back, and like the connection wasn't that great, so I kind of would like to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
I still like Vivek. Doug did impress me, but pragmatically, I want whoever I think has the best chance of winning the next, the Oval Office.
Yeah.
And I am not totally sure who that is right now.
Yeah.
I think that Vivek is still positioning himself to pick up all the pieces. I think it's pretty clear to me that the goal of Nikki Haley and Chris Christie and even Mike Pence is to cut his fucking knees off and make sure he does not do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think they want that more than winning themselves.
They wanted him to attack them tonight, and he didn't.
I don't know if they wanted him to attack him. I think they wanted to make him look bad. They didn't want him to be able to get a word in. They didn't want him to be able to get his message across. Because why else would you interrupt him so much? And then it was it would be like Nikki Haley would interrupt him, and they'd stop. Hey, Nikki, like you need to shut the fuck up, basically. And then let Vivek start again, and then Chris Christie would fucking interrupt him.
Right.
It was like totally third man in.
Yeah.
And I mean, totally like not. I don't like using the word fair, but it wasn't fair. And it was blatant. And I kind of wonder, like, I really wish I knew what was going on, like, in the green room at Fox News and see, like, because I don't feel like I like Dana Perino. I think she's a smoke show, and I don't think she's a dirtbag, but I feel like someone told her.
Oh, yeah.
They were directing her. They're in her ear, telling her what to do, because there was one time where I just thought that maybe it was to Doug. It just didn't seem like typical Dana Perino that I'm accustomed to, but maybe that's the real Dana Perino. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird. And you do make a good point. Like she does like hold George Bush with it. Like she like looks up to him. Like she totally has like a soft spot in her heart for George W. Bush.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever like listened to any of her interviews and stuff like that.
Oh, I have.
And I do think she's really smart, and I like her a lot. And I think, you
just like
that
her
whole.
She's hot.
No, I think she's fucking smart.
I'm kidding.
And I think she's probably generally a decent person. I think. But yeah. So anyway, that's kind of.
You didn't answer the question. If it was today,
who would I
vote
vote
for? God.
I don't. Vivek. I said Vivek.
He did say that.
Yeah, it would be Vivek.
Okay. All right, Fox, your turn.
I don't think good people spend years defending W. Bush and lying about WMD and why we went to war.
It's their fucking job, dirtbag. You spend years defending rapists and scumbags, molesters, murderers. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm not elected to public office and trust.
That's part of the job of that is that job. That is that job.
That is absolutely not the job description of the president of the United States.
No, of the freaking president.
I'm going to need you to get me a source. A source and a second opinion.
We need a link for that.
Yeah, I need a link for that.
Can we get community notes on this, please?
Yeah.
You're such a piece of shit, and like I just fucking scold you.
Okay, Richard Nixon.
Getting Exit like fired up and pissed off is literally my favorite thing in the whole world. When he starts cussing, it's like my favorite.
He's all flustered.
I know, he gets so flustered.
We have to have like a National Geographic like narrative of what's going on.
Well, you're saying
that's
oh
his defense mechanisms.
The president of the United States is a fucking zookeeper.
You just know that Exit's like turning red too, like when that starts happening.
Oh, he's from Minnesota. He looks like a cherry tomato right now.
Okay.
Oh man.
Oh man. Exit sounds like Nikki Haley.
Okay.
Community note says, I have a permit. All it says is I can do whatever I want to do. Oh, man.
Parks and
Okay.
Recreation joke there.
I like DeSantis, although I like Burgum. I just don't think he's got a chance to be like number one on the ticket.
That's why I think that a longer form type of debate would
have been good.
Where he actually gets to answer the questions.
Yeah, and if you interrupt, you get hit with a whip.
right in the face to where it scars. Too.
Yes.
It would be interesting to see what he has to say. I mean, he tried to answer several questions that they even asked of him, and they won it. And I'm just curious to see, because he seems like the guy. He's independently wealthy. He doesn't need to be doing this, but he's also got the statesman disposition. And
he's very Trump-like in his quality of the role, if that makes sense.
I mean, it depends on what you mean.
Without
I mean, like that independent wealth. He doesn't have to run for even office in general. Like, he's the governor of.
Well, so was Bloomberg. You know.
I mean.
Yeah, but Bloomberg wants to take my fucking guns away. So he doesn't need to run for president.
The difference is Bloomberg's an engineer, and engineers all have this God complex where they can control for every factor, and they think humans are binary, like computers that can be controlled. So
was it Bloomberg or de Blasio with the big gulps too?
It was both of them.
I don't know. Bloomberg's really like
Bloomberg started that shit, but I'm pretty sure de Blasio's like on the same page with him.
Jake, you don't know the majority of voters. So
can we talk about how weird it is that Merrick Garland drinks bottles of water with two hands?
Shut up.
No way.
Did you not see that clip of him testifying? Where he
oh my God. Please tell me you're joking.
No, I'm not. It's disturbing.
Somebody go find this now.
What?
Anyway, Fox, answer the question. Who are you voting for the primaries today?
I said DeSantis.
Okay.
As
now
Trump
Heather's
supporters refer to as the Satan.
Fox and I are dissimps, but we admit it.
If it were today, I would still vote for Vivek, but I really like Doug Burgum.
Okay, we're the dialed in crew, let's be honest. We all pay way more attention to politics and the news than we probably should for our own sanity.
Yeah, no
shit. So if Burgum can speak to us, he's got a chance at reaching people if he plays it right.
Yeah, because we're pretty. I will wholeheartedly admit, if you go back to the first coverage of the debate, I dismissed Doug Burgum the entire time when he would speak on the stage. And Asa Hutchinson, both of them, when they were speaking, I took that as an opportunity to give commentary. I didn't listen to either one of them. Tonight, I regret doing that last week. Like, I wish I would have listened more last week to what he had to say. Or not last week, but last debate. Okay, you guys want to end it?
Yeah.
I just tagged you on Twitter.
Okay.
I'll
watch it. Okay, so real quick before we end though, where can I, there's only 4 people watching right now, but for people who go catch the replay, Joey has his handle, Exit has his handle, Fox doesn't want anybody to follow him. You can find me at Shouse34 on Twitter. That's where we spend our time. Go check us out.
Join us Friday for Liberty Happy Hour.
Yeah, we have great debates and all that stuff on Friday night. We discuss the events of the week. That's a good place on Twitter Spaces to join us. So, holy fucking shit, Fox! I just watched this video. What in that's a signal, right? Like he's signaling to somebody, save my life.
There's no way that's not a signal.
What
That
the-
was real name's
Who
Timmy
drinks
and he's a
water like that?
4-year-old.
That's
A
weird.
4-year-old?
I mean, Trump did that once too, but
Finnegan doesn't even hold his cup like that. Like Finnegan is a one-hand man and he's 4 years old. So whatever the fuck that is, I don't even know. Hang on, I can actually show it to our audience.
this is where we're gonna leave everybody tonight with Merrick Garland. I don't even know what this is.
Hold on a second. Let me pull this. Stop sharing this. Pull this. Sorry.
God, but I gotta admit the whole what do you want to say? Hypothesis.
What the fuck
Whole
is
hypothesis that Nikki Haley and Vivek have a caste system.
What is that?
And I heard boom in my whole house shook.
What the fuck is that?
Oh my gosh.
In my whole house shook.
Where is that coming
turn
from?
it off.
It's the video. It's screaming.
In my whole house shook.
That's
Turn it
on
off.
here?
Turn it off.
I had no idea that was on the clip because when it was playing on my computer, I couldn't see it. Oh my God. Okay. My bad.
And on that note.
Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Join us. We'll be doing all of the debates leading up to the primary, giving commentary and things like that. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everyone in the chat who participated. You guys take care and have a wonderful night.
Later.
See ya.
Bye.